Hey everyone, it's Nick from Nick's Crossing, and today I'm outside. I want to show you guys 3 of my dry fuel cell steam engines. Yes, they are live steam engines that require water, a fuel source. These engines do get very hot, and they are quite dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So I'm going to spin you guys around here and show you what's on the table behind me. All right, so we are spun around, and the first question you guys probably have is, why are you filming out in the snow and the cold? Well, actually, today is the calming before the storm. We are supposed to get a little bit of snow into the next few days. Typical winter up here in the hills. All right, so on the table in front of me and in front of you guys, we have 3 of my live steam engines. These are all the live steam engines that I have in the collection. These 2 on the ends will be running today. The steam tractor in the back, unfortunately, needs a new boiler. These engines use these dry cell or dry fuel for camping. There's actually some depictions on the bottom here. Looks like to heat up a beverage, cooking, fires, and more cooking. So these are called Esbit. There's a couple other companies that make these. These are for survival. They are dry fuel cell tablets that get extremely hot. It's just a little brick with it's got a little bit of a gleam to it. These are, I believe, loaded with some type of petroleum product with a fiber, so they burn. And when they burn entirely. They don't really leave a residue or an ash compared to burning wood. The steam engine on the left, I have used this with wood. It takes a very long time to heat up. You also end up darkening everything. I've actually polished this engine compared to the steel one on the right. If you would use wood with this, it would tarnish all of the steel. And this is considered a steel boiler. This one is a brass boiler. That one in back, I'm not exactly sure, but knowing it's a Mamod, it's most likely a brass boiler. So on the table, we actually have 2 manufacturers, even though we have 3 engines. These 2, we have a Mamod steam tractor, and then down here, this is a Mamod stationary engine. Both are built and manufactured in England. They are very popular over in England. You can actually find these engines on eBay. And the engine on my right here is actually a local piece. This was made in Pennsylvania. It's actually a kit from a company called Jensen. Mamod actually makes different types of engines other than the steam tractor here and the stationary engine. They actually have locomotives, steam cars that I've seen people race before, other motive power accessories. You could actually attach these holes here, look like they're for an erector set, but you can actually attach a saw to them, like a toy saw. There's also figurines that move, other accessories, tons and tons of things. Usually with these engines, I'll see someone mount a generator with a light on it, and it powers the light. On the right side, this was purchased actually at a steam show or steam and engine show called Cabin Fever a while ago. This was actually a kit. I built this according to the instructions, and this steam stack here is ornamental, so I won't be running it with this. It'll most likely fall off anyways. But we can spin it around, and there's the maker's plate. Unfortunately, I do not have the parts or the spare boiler to fix the steam tractor in the back. I tried firing it up a few years ago, and the rivets, compared to a lot of these, are stamped in place or screwed in. The rivets for the sight glass, which is here, rusted out from the inside. Probably the water wasn't let out of it and wasn't let to dry, so the rivets rusted. So if you try to fire it up, it actually sprays steam and boiling water out the back, which is not very safe, but I believe it will run. The piston looks fine. The whistle you can see in the back there, it's very similar to this whistle here, and has a steam safety valve, which is located on here and here on both of my engines. All 3 of these engines do include a whistle. It's not like what you would expect. It's like a tea kettle, but it's still a lot of fun to play with. So we're going to fire up the Jensen engine first, then we'll get into the Mamod after. The Jensen does take a little bit more time to get rolling. I believe the flywheel is a little bit bigger on this one, and the piston is actually a little bit smaller. There aren't any bearings on here that I can see compared to the Mamod. Does have a different style and such. I believe the Mamod works a little bit better than the Jensen, but it could also be the way I put it together, but I'm sure I can modify it and make it better. These are actually all the items on the table currently of what the kit came with in the box. So you get 1 block of fuel tabs, you get your burner tray that fits inside the slot there, and also the most important thing of this kit, they gave you a funnel. And this is extremely important because you actually have to pour the water down these spouts once you take off your safety cap and your whistle. And also they included a little bottle of, looks like a heavier 3-in-1 oil, or maybe like light engine oil. So first what we're going to do is I'm going to take off the safety cap here. All right, you can actually see how long the stem is. Actually put that there so we don't lose it. And I can take off the whistle. Whoops. So once those two parts are off, now I can start filling it. So I believe this funnel fits in there like that. And I'm going to use, now here's the key with your water. If you ever purchase one of these, you want to make sure you use the most filtered water you can find, because any fines or minerals in the water will actually get stuck and create scaling in your engine. Also will help your boilers go out faster, so you don't want any of that. It actually helps the longevity of the boiler. There's actually a product for boilers that they had at the show as well, where I purchased this. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but the water is now up on the sight glass here. You can see it's almost halfway. So there's a low mark. When you install this, there's a low, then a high. So I like to go a little bit between the high tick mark there, because we're going to lose a lot of this in condensation. A little bit more. A little bit more. All right, so it's a little bit high, but that will be fine. All right. The next step, what I like to do is to, I'm actually gonna set the funnel over there. You also want to back thread these, because I'm dealing with brass parts with a steel boiler. You don't want to cross thread these pieces. These were actually a little expensive. So you want to find your threading and then go from there. Same with this piece here. Now this is actually steel, so might be a little bit better going on. Let's see. Yep, there we go. And make sure these are nice and tight. And we want to make sure our whistle valve is closed, because if it opens up, we're not going to build up any pressure in the boiler. All right, so I'm going to take 2 of these fuel pellets and then sit them on the tray. All right, and then we're going to ignite the pellets. So I placed this piece of wood underneath just so we don't melt our plastic works table here. I'm sure it's pretty sturdy, but rather this piece of plywood melt or catch on fire than my works table. I may have to clamp the engine down. If that's the case, you guys will see that in case it gets too mobile. So I noticed during the footage there, some of the water was dripping out of the sight glass, and I think it's just from the O-ring, which is like almost like a paper material, was swelling up from the water being in the boiler. This engine has been dry for a few years, so it looks like it's doing great now, but the water drips from the sight glass into my fire pan there and put out the fuel tab. So I relit the fire, got another tablet in there. I actually burned through 1 tablet already. So let's see what this thing can do. All right, so I brought you guys a little bit closer to the engine here, and I can see some water boiling. So yes, that leak has stopped in our boiler there. You can actually see just a little bit of water dripping out. It's probably sealing from the top there. So let's see if I have enough steam yet. I'm actually going to open that up. I'm hoping the condensation will go up here and go down here and come out of the piston. I see some water coming out the top there. Let's see what's... Do this very carefully. Yeah, so there is some water. I don't want to get burned from that. That's going to hurt really bad. Yeah, you can see it's the sight glass up there is starting to seal up at the top. So, oh, and I see some activity down here. Yeah, there's a little bit of water in there. There's one flaw with this design. You activate the piston, it actually shoots the condensation or any water into the firebox like it just did. And there's a ton of water in there. Oh. Yeah, now we're running. Usually these go pretty fast. All right, so now we're really hauling here. Looks like it's staying pretty stable. I don't need to clamp it down or anything. Might actually help it if I hold it down. Throttle her down. See if it'll work like that. It's actually shaking the whole table here too. Give a little whistle blow. Yeah, it's crazy. I actually heard that little whistle echo. I've always wanted to get a full-size whistle and hook it up to a compressor and see how many neighbors I can make friends with. Let's go full throttle here. Really holding this thing down. And you guys can see all the steam inside the sight glass still building up in there. There's a lot of energy in that little tank. Little boiler, I mean. One round of fuel tablets and one full tank of water. And that's amazing. We've been running in total for about 5 minutes now. Let's see if I can actually slow her down again. Oh, we're slowing down. And it's actually really cool. The camera's picking up on the flywheel. It makes it look like it's standing still. So, oh, more steam. I think our fire's almost out. And I was right, yeah, our fire burned out. So once this dies down completely, I'm going to switch it to the Mamod and show you guys that engine. So this is my Mamod steam engine, built in England, compared to the Jensen was built here in the USA. And this engine, you can automatically see there's a lot of brass on this engine. Your boiler, your whistle, your steam safety, your piston on the left there, and also the part for your belt is also made of brass right off of the flywheel. The flywheel is made of steel, and your steam feed to the piston is actually made of copper. So that is another thing to watch out using a water that's not as filtered. You don't want that to corrode on the inside, then this engine won't work at all. Other cool features, your firebox has a little sight in there. There isn't a glass in there, but it's a little sight. There are also vents on the sides and underneath and up top, so oxygen can get in there, burn a nice hot fire. I do like how the whistle, you can aim it away from you so you don't get burnt, and it's also sprung, so this comes right back at you. The smokestack in the back actually works. It's a steam stack. You have these mounting circles here. You could build something with an erector set or purchase one of their accessories and mount it to it. All right, guys, so I'm going to run through the prep really quick, and with the help of movie magic, I'll be ready in a few seconds. Alright, so we're building up steam here. You can actually see it shooting out of the piston. So I wonder if our whistle's any good yet. Trying to let out some of the condensation or extra water, really, at this point. You can also see the piston is locked because it's in neutral. So let's see what happens if I put it in reverse here. You can just see how much faster this engine is than the Jensen. And now you can actually see the steam stack, so to say, puffing out some steam from the exhaust of this thing. Alright guys, so we're going to fire this up one more time. There's a ton of water in there, I'd hate to waste it. So, let's try to get this, try to get the fire in the firebox. There we go. Alright. So we're going round 2 here. You can actually see the water line right here. If I jolt the table, see some of the water move around in there. So there is a ton of water in there. I overfilled it, actually way overfilled it. So we're gonna let her run and come back in a few minutes. Just to show you guys how fast this engine is, this is on the first notch. And if I actually put it up to, that is actually how fast this engine is. So very fast. Also very, very loud. Actually tone it down a little bit. Actually, let's see it run the other way. Hasn't done that in a while. And here's the engine running in the opposite direction. And here is neutral here. I guess this would be technically reverse because we're going this way. And we can check on our fire here. Yep, still burning really hot. We will let that be. It sounds like our engine is starting to dwindle down. It took basically a full tank of water and then two full fire boxes of the dry fuel to get it to start going down, and it still doesn't want to die. That's one thing I do like about this engine. It can go and go and go. So hopefully, let me check the water level. Yeah, I'm actually going to stop it because I don't want to burn out the boiler here. And you can see we have a little bit of fire left in there. And yeah, it was the fire keeping it alive. And drain out all the extra steam. And in about 10 minutes or so, I'll be able to handle this thing. It is going to be so hot. Let me blow out this fire. The good thing about dry fuel is all you have to do is this, to put it out. And it's got a nice coal smoke to it. Hey everyone, I'd like to thank you for joining me for that first live steam run of the channel. I have other ideas similar to this on the channel, and also I have some modification ideas, especially with the Jensen engine. I'm going to leave the Mamod engine completely stock, and also hope to repair the steam tractor and get that rolling around, and maybe we can put it on a tether or something and see how fast it will go. Be kind of a fun video to do. So if you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Give me a like. Love to hear your guys' comments. And also remember to hit the bell for notifications for live streams and content just like this. Thank you all for joining me and hope to see you all in future videos.